fans, and welcome to my June video wrap up where I'm going to talk about all of the books that I read in June. And I read a total of 16 books. Most of them were awesome. I believe I gave the majority of them 4-star ratings, but we did have 5-star books last month, which is awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about each book I read, and I'm gonna go in order from my least favorite to my favorite book of the month. And yeah, so we're gonna start out with my least favorite book, and it is one that I did not finish. So I have a DNF for last month, and that book is What Happened to the Bennets by Lisa Scottline. And I think I got about 65, maybe 70% of the way through this book, and I was kind of just dragging through it. I didn't really care what was going on, so I ended up not finishing it. So I'm not really gonna rate or review that one. It wasn't for me. So that's at the bottom of my list, unfortunately. The next book that I read was Magpie by Elizabeth Day. And this one is about a couple who is struggling with infertility. So they're going through all of the treatments for infertility, and then they also have a couple failed adoptions. They're trying really hard to have a baby, and they end up having this woman come in to live with them as a flatmate, a roommate. And this woman seems very bizarre. She's pretty intrusive of their space, their personal belongings, and it kind of grows into basically an obsession from this roommate where she becomes obsessed with this married couple that she's living with and their future child, the idea of their future child. And it's just super weird, which I love. I love the weirdness. Overall, it was a pretty good read. It was a little bit twisty, actually. There's a little bit of stalking elements going on, and I don't want to say too much, obviously, but I did end up giving this one 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good read. If that's something that you might be interested in, check out Magpie by Elizabeth Day. The next book that I read this month was Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. And I actually did a reading vlog this last month where I included this book. So if you kind of want to hear me go into go a little bit more in depth about this one, check out my reading vlog. I did end up liking it. It started out slow for me. We're following a woman who wakes up and her husband is murdered, or he's dead in the bathtub. But the main character is holding his straight razor. So she's kind of caught waking up next to the bathtub holding a straight razor. So we're following along trying to find out what happened. She doesn't exactly know if she killed him, and we as the readers don't know exactly what went on. The first half of this book, as you'll see in the reading vlog, really dragged for me, and I was not getting into it. But the second half of this book really picked up, and I ended up actually really enjoying it. Overall, in the reading vlog, I said I was giving it 4 stars. After finishing it, I think I'm gonna bump it down to 3.5 stars, just because it was a little slow and it drug a little bit, especially for Jennifer Hillier. I really love her as an author, and this is probably honestly my least favorite of her books that I've read. So overall, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I think it's definitely worth checking out, especially I said, for the second half of it, I found it a lot more interesting when we started going into the main character's history, her childhood. There was some trauma going on. And yeah, I ended up enjoying the second half a lot more than the first half, but it is getting really good reviews. So I know that I'm in the minority with my opinion on that. So definitely worth checking out Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. The next book that I read was Romancing Mr Bridgerton, and this is, I believe, the 4th installment in the series of the Bridgertons. I wanted to pick this one up. I've read the first 3, loved them all. My favorite is Benedict's story, which is the 3rd book, because I believe it goes Daphne, Anthony, Benedict. And now we have Colin and Penelope's story. And I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I thought it was super cute. If you are a Bridgerton fan, obviously you know, like Julia Quinn has just, I don't know, I just love these books so much. I'm a huge fan of the Netflix series as well. I think it's a great adaptation of these novels and they just bring them to life in such a fun way. So I'm super excited to watch this series on Netflix, but of course I had to check out the book first to see what the tea was on Colin and Penelope's story. And of course it was beautiful, it was romantic, it was super heartwarming because we've been following these characters and we've all been rooting along for them. So I really enjoyed this one, gave it 4 stars, and that is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. The next book that I read last month was The Inmate by Frida McFadden. And I also have this one in my June reading vlog. So again, if you want to hear me go a little bit more into it, check that out. I'm a huge fan of Frida McFadden. I love all of her books. I read them all in a day, always binging her books. This one is about a woman named Brooke who gets sent to work in a men's prison, and she is a nurse practitioner, and she comes along a prisoner who she was actually responsible for putting in prison. So we are flashing back to the past to find out what happened with them. And of course, with Frida McFadden books, you always have those twisty elements, which we love. I thought that this was a solid book. I gave it 4 stars. I highly enjoyed it, definitely loved it. I have another Frida McFadden coming up that's going to be in our 5-star tier, so keep watching for that one. But yeah, 4 stars for The Inmate. Of course, super enjoyed it. This is her newest one. It just came out last month. I had to get it the day it was released because I'm a Frida McFadden stan like that. So yeah, check it out if you're looking for a quick, easy to read, little twisty thriller. The next book of June that I read was The Change by Kirsten Miller. And I had to check this one out. It was getting crazy good reviews all over, and I really enjoyed it as well. We're following 3 women who are kind of approaching menopause or going through menopause. And so the book is called The Change because as these women are approaching the change in their lives, they're starting to develop these kind of, I don't want to call them superpowers, but they're developing these, you know, powers. And one of the 3 women is able to hear voices calling out to her, kind of like spirits that have passed. And they are leading her and these other women to their bodies. So these women discover a body, and all 3 women have different kind of powers that allow them to sort of put together the mystery behind these bodies that they're finding and help solve the cases for these girls. They're all missing girls, and they kind of help to solve their mysteries and find out who has been killing women in their area. And yeah, it was just really fun. I highly enjoyed it. I really hope that they make a movie out of this one because I think it would make a fantastic movie. And I gave this one 4 stars, and I think the cover is just so stunning. I mean, look how pretty that is. Gorgeous. I love the colors. So yeah, overall enjoyed that experience. 4 stars for The Change. Okay, and so I read a Colleen Hoover book last month, and I have almost read all of Colleen Hoover's books. I love Coho. Shocker, like, yes, we love her. And I had put this one off because it just had really mixed reviews. I heard that it had kind of like supernatural or paranormal elements to it, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. But I actually really enjoyed liking this. It's definitely in like my top, I don't know, 4 or 5 favorites of Colleen Hoover books ever. I really, really liked it. We are following a man named Leeds, and he meets this girl, Layla. They hit it off right up the bat, and they have kind of an accident that happens pretty early on that ends up putting Layla in the hospital. And then when Layla comes out of the hospital, she starts acting a little bizarre, like almost like acting like a different person. So Leeds decides to take her to this huge mansion where they first met, and they go on kind of a vacation there. And they're kind of trying to figure out, you know, if they're going to move forward, if they're going to get engaged. Layla's acting still a little bit odd. And then this ghost comes into play. Basically, there is a presence in the house that starts communicating with leads, and it is this woman named Willow. And everything that ensues after that is just absolutely bananas. And the twist is really good in this one. I really enjoyed it. I'm not huge on like paranormal stuff, but I thought it was done in a really nice way. I liked it a lot, and I ended up giving Layla 4 stars. So if you are a Colleen Hoover fan and you haven't checked out Layla yet, I definitely recommend checking it out. Like I said, I think it's better than a lot of her other books that I've read, and I really enjoyed it. So check out Layla by Coho. The next book in June on my list was This Might Hurt by Stephanie Roble, and I also had this one in my reading vlog. If you want to check that out, I ended up really liking this book. We're following 2 sisters. One of them goes away to this mysterious like resort type place, or more of like a wellness center, I guess you would call it. Where she agrees to have no internet connection, no cell phone use for 6 months, to try to unlock your inner fearless self. So we're following along with these 2 sisters, and we're kind of getting their backgrounds, and then we have another perspective from an unknown person, and that unknown person is talking about their past, and it was very traumatic. Like her dad was super weird, and she had like this point system where they had to get enough points by doing these good deeds throughout the day if they wanted to be able to sleep at night. Like super bizarre stuff. And then we find out at the end, of course, who that third narration was from, and I just thought it was really good. There are like, I mean, I thought it was going to be a cult book. There are some culty elements to it, like that wellness resort is kind of weird, and there's a lot of bizarre things going on in this one, but this one was getting, I saw people giving it, you know, pretty low reviews and not liking it a lot, so I was kind of like hesitant. I waited a while to start this, but maybe because my expectations were so low, I ended up really enjoying it. I don't know, I really liked this book. So I gave this one 4 stars. Looking back, it might even be 4.5 stars. I really liked this one. I definitely recommend checking it out if you are into bizarre elements, cult elements, and just like a twisty, you know, that unknown narrative makes it fun. You can't wait to find out who it is and what's actually going on. So definitely recommend This Might Hurt by Stephanie Roble. Okay, so the next book is Night Road by Kristen Hanna. And Kristen Hanna is just such a beautiful author. I mean, she just has these deep emotional stories that really just break your heart. And this one was no different. It was emotional, but it was beautiful. I really liked it. We are following a girl named Lexi, and Lexi came from a traumatic past. She was in a foster home for a while. And then she ends up going to live with her aunt who is taking care of her. And she makes friends with a set of twins. And it's a girl and a boy that are twins. The girl twin becomes her best friend, and she kind of becomes romantically interested in the brother. So she's spending a lot of time with this family. So we're also getting the perspective of the twins' mother. And in the synopsis, so this isn't a spoiler, it tells us there is an accident that happens that kind of drives a wedge between all of these characters. And this book is about forgiveness. This book, I mean, at times it was very hard to read because you're just like, you're rooting for some of these characters. You're like so frustrated at what's happening and like the lack of communication at times. But the end, I loved it. I loved it a lot. I read through this one pretty quickly. And yeah, Kristen Hanna does it again for me. She is just, I think, one of the most beautiful authors there is. Love her. And I ended up giving Night Road 4 stars. Definitely recommend this one if you're a Kristen Hanna fan and you haven't checked it out yet. It was such a great read. Loved it. All right, the next book on the list is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. And this is another one where I had to get it on the day it came out. I have been highly anticipating this one. And let me tell you, Riley Sager books for me can go either way. I've liked some a lot and I have not liked some at all. So I was definitely interested to check this one out. And I ended up loving this one. I'm going to say it right now. This is my favorite Riley Sager book. I have all of his other books and this is definitely my favorite. Loved it. It is about a woman who has this house on the lake and she drinks all day and she's like watching through the windows in her binoculars and she's watching this house across the lake where this woman lives with her husband and some shady business goes down. So she's trying to like kind of investigate. The woman across the lake ends up going missing. So she's trying to figure out like what's going on. She's like interjecting herself in these people's relationship. There's a lot of snooping around. And then of course, our narrator is kind of unreliable because we know that she's an alcoholic and she's drinking like a lot all day long. So we're like, what's actually happening here? There was a really, really crazy twist in this one. And I'm a big fan of the twists that are not normal. The twists that haven't been done before or you don't see coming and you're kind of like, what? What? Like what the heck just happened? And that's the kind of twist in this book. So that twist alone bumped it up to 4.5 stars for me. I enjoyed this. It's my favorite Riley Sager so far. Hopefully his future books go in this direction where it's a little bit less predictable and a little bit more strange and odd because that is my stuff right there. I liked it a lot. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Definitely check it out. I know some people are loving it. Some people are hating it. Put me in the love camp for this one. I highly enjoyed it. All right, the next book on the list is My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. And this one was in my June video log. I went in depth about it a little bit. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. But this, I really liked this one. This was also a 4.5 star read for me. We are following a girl who goes on vacation with her brother and they stumble upon a body. So this bounty hunter comes out, tries to figure out what the heck is going on. He's like a grumpy bounty hunter. And we have our little school teacher here who is also like trying to be a little detective and figure out what was going on. But the bounty hunter is like, stay out of it. Like, I'm not trying to work with a little school teacher. And of course, a little romantic relationship ensues. In fact, I don't even know that I would call it romantic. I would definitely call it spicy. Tessa Bailey's spice is like top notch. This book is dirty. It is steamy. It is spicy. So yeah, it was fun. Quick little read. I really liked it. I gave this one, like I said, 4.5 stars. So if you are into Tessa Bailey's witty banter and spicy elements, definitely check out My Killer Vacation. The fact that there was a murder thrown in there just makes it more appetizing to me. I liked it a lot. And the cover is so cute. So yeah, My Killer Vacation. Okay, the next book on the list is The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden. And this is the one that I told you that made it into the 5-star tier. This one is going to kick off our 5-star reads for June. The Surrogate Mother, we are following Abby, who is kind of like one of the previous books I talked about. She's struggling with fertility. Her and her husband have been trying to have a baby and they are not having any luck with the adoption process. So Abby actually has this assistant, Monica, who kind of actually looks like Abby, and she's really nice, and she sees that Abby's been struggling to have a baby, and she actually offers to be a surrogate for Abby and her husband. And I'm just gonna leave it right there. This book is crazy. This book is bananas, straight up craziness. I loved it. Definitely bumped it right up to the top of my Frida McFadden book list. Like, this is, I don't know, my second or third favorite Frida McFadden. One of these days I'm gonna have to do a video of just the Frida McFadden books where I rank them all in order, but oh my gosh, I loved this book. I devoured it. It was amazing. Definitely check it out. The Surrogate Mother by Frida McFadden. It's wild and it's crazy and it's gonna have you like, what the heck? What the heck? That's all I'm gonna say. All right, up there in the 5-star tier, the next book on the list is Creep by Jennifer Hillier. So after I read Things We Do in the Dark, I had to pick up another Jennifer Hillier because I needed her to, you know, redeem herself for me a little bit. And wowie, she did it. This book is so good. 5 stars for Creep. We are following a psychology professor who becomes involved with her student TA, her teacher's assistant, and she's kind of having this like side fling with him, but she is also involved with a man who she becomes engaged to. So once she becomes engaged, she's like, okay, I need to cut off the side boo. So she tells her student that she can no longer be involved with him. And he becomes instantly pissed and starts acting crazy. Like he tells her that he recorded them having sex and he starts threatening to release this sex tape. And so she's all freaked out. She doesn't want her fiance to find out what's been going on. And then the craziness escalates to insanity. Like, oh my gosh, I was not expecting the level of craziness in this book. This guy, Ethan, the creep, is probably the biggest creep I've ever read about. The things that he does are, what? Like, check it out. If you're a Jennifer Hillier fan and you have not read this book yet, this is my favorite Jennifer Hillier ever. Love it. I have like, I don't know, 1 or 2 more of her books to read before I've read all of her books, but so far this is my favorite Jennifer Hillier. I highly recommend Creep. It's good, but get ready because it's insane. Okay, the next book on the list. I had so much fun with this book, you guys, and I'm so happy that I picked it up, and that is My Summer Darlings by May Cobb. 5 stars for me, and you have to go into this knowing that this book is ridiculous. It is silly. It is rich people tea drama extravaganza. So we have this really pretentious neighborhood that these 3 women who have been friends since childhood live in, and these women are like getting together every weekend. 2 of them are married, 1 of them is a single mother. And so this new hottie Will moves into the neighborhood, and they're all like, oh my gosh, check out Will. Of course, they send the single friend to try to, you know, see if sparks develop. And it's just so crazy. Like the amount of times that I laughed out loud reading this book because these women are so ridiculous. I just loved it. So we're also following this perspective. So right in the beginning, it opens with a perspective of one woman who is basically talking about how she was attacked. She's trying to survive. She's like on the verge of death. So as you're reading, you're trying to figure out like, which woman is this? Is this one of the 3 women? What's going on? Like, is Will the bad guy? You don't really know what's going on. And it puts the pieces together. And over time, all 3 of these women become obsessed with Will. And none of them know that the other ones are obsessed with him or like what kind of relationship the other ones are having with them. And it's just like gossipy drama. We're reading everything, so we have all the tea. I loved it, you guys. Rich people drama, like for the win. It was so entertaining. It's like a train wreck. It's like your guilty pleasure TV show. Definitely highly recommend it. I mean, it made me pick up The Hunting Wives, which you'll see in my July wrap up because I just finished that one today. But oh my gosh, May Cobb, like where have you been all my life? I loved it. 5 stars for My Summer Darlings. All right, the next book on the list is a Frida McFadden book. And I can confidently say that this is my 2nd favorite Frida McFadden book ever. My first favorite is The Housemaid. Hello, Want to Know a Secret by Frida McFadden. I'm mad that I waited so long to read this one. It was epic, you guys. It was so good. We're following April, who is a mom and a wife, and she has a YouTube channel where she does baking. She has all these like baking tips, and she bakes her little cookies and her brownies, and she gives you these baking tips, which was just like in itself so fun throughout the video because I was like, oh, are these like real tips? Like I want to try that. Anyways, she gets this text message one day from like a blocked number, and it's like, want to know a secret? Your son's not where you think he is. And she's like, oh my gosh, my son's supposed to be playing in the backyard. Like, she goes out there, he's not there. And she ends up finding him like at a neighbor's house, but she's like, what the heck is going on? And this is right in the beginning of the book, so no spoilers. But she starts getting all of these strange text messages that are kind of like, it's like, is somebody watching her? How does this person know what's going on in her life? They seem to know secrets about her. And I loved it so much. The twist in this one was so great. About halfway through the book, it just goes in a completely different direction from what you were thinking. And I love that. I love when books completely like switch it up halfway through and you're like, oh, okay, anything I was thinking about what was actually going on, like, I don't even know now. I love that. So gave this one 5 stars, my second favorite book of the month. Definitely check out Want to Know a Secret by Frida McFadden, the queen. How does she do it? How does she do it? And my favorite book of the month in June was Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. And if you are in book groups and you have not heard about this one yet, I mean, I don't know, because people are going crazy over this book and it's me too, it's me. I loved it. We're following a girl named Mallory who has a troubled past. She was addicted to drugs. She's coming out of rehab and sober living, and she's looking for a job, and she ends up finding a job for this family where she becomes a nanny for a little boy named Teddy. And Teddy is like wildly artistic and starts out, you know, with some drawings that are like, oh, those seem a little bit advanced for his age. And as the story progresses, his drawings become more and more advanced. They become very sinister, and there are illustrations in this book. I did go over this one in my reading vlog, like pretty in depth. Let me see. So there are illustrations in here, like, so creepy, which just made the experience like really fun. And the drawings get insane and really good. But the twist in this book was a twist I never expected. It was a twist I have never read before. I thought it was really well done. I highly, highly enjoyed this book. 5 stars. It was my best book of June, and I love it. And I'm so glad that I got the physical copy so I could see all of those beautiful pictures. And again, like, this one also has paranormal elements, which I'm not super usually into, but it was done in a way that wasn't too scary. It was kind of speculative, like, is there really something supernatural going on? And that's my favorite thing, when you don't really know if it is. It's not like just, oh, this is a ghost, oh, this is a haunted house, oh, this is, you know, it's very speculative, which I enjoyed. So yeah, Hidden Pictures, definitely check it out. And that's all. Thank you guys for watching my June wrap up. I hope you guys found a book that you are interested in checking out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.